Welcome to Comic Book Canon, our soft launch of our weekly top show talking comic books and pop culture. Tonight, we have DC news, we got Star Wars news, and we got Todd McFarlane cleaning his closet. Next on Comic Book Canon. Welcome to Comic Book Canon, the weekly talk show where we talk comic books and pop culture. I am joined tonight, and hopefully every week thereafter, with the fabulous Chris from Journos Comics. Chris, how are you doing?
What is going on, everyone? I'm Kat picking up Thor's hammer tonight with you all. How you doing tonight, Jeff?
I'm doing great. As you can see, we are under construction as Comic Book Canon, but you and I just were eager to get some one show under our belt here as we are constructing. You know, right now I don't have a Comic Book Canon set. You, sir, are in front of about 15,000 comic books, and how many toys? Who knows? So I'm really excited to be talking comic books, pop culture, all the geeky goodness, and let's, just jump in here, right? Shall we?
Sounds good to me.
All right. This week, Supergirl, DCEU's version of Supergirl, the movie, was put on hold. But what does that mean for the DCEU? As you can see, I'm getting texts, and they're all in my ear right now. I got to turn that off. As you can see, Heroic Hollywood had an article saying, does this mean that Henry Cavill is back as Superman? Basically saying that the fact that they've canceled the Supergirl movie indicates that Henry Cavill is going to stay as Superman because they were planning on launching a new Superman in the Supergirl movie. How do you feel about that, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. If there's no recasting of all of them, they can get him back. I think this is DCEU probably trying to, take a step backwards because we know the DCEU has been a bit of a hot mess and they really haven't built on, Superman from their vision with the Man of Steel. And I think ultimately someone like me, I would be extremely excited to see a Supergirl movie on the big screen, but I think this might actually be the best decision that Warner Brothers and DC has made in a while here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know if I'm one of the few, but I really like the Man of Steel, which basically started the DCEU. And to hear that Henry Cavill will probably continue on because he has expressed that his desire to continue on as Superman, that excites me because that's an anchor there, right? They haven't had a great track record, and with the start, Wonder Woman was a good movie, Aquaman, good movie, and thereafter they had a couple good movies, but they need to continue that track record and be more consistent than as consistent as Marvel to be able to get me to be excited about something. This is a start, and I really hope that Superman does, or Henry Cavill does reprise his role and continue to as Superman. That being said, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I do too. I really think that's going to be their foundation moving forward. And I've always said that I felt DC and Warner Brothers kind of rushed to, get right there in the track race with Marvel, but I think right now they know that now is the time to just put what's in the past and keep moving forward. And with that being said, as you said, Wonder Woman was a definite standout for the DCEU, and unfortunately Wonder Woman 84 has been pushed back due to the current crisis, but we have fresh news concerning that movie because we got some fresh stills that were published online here. So Wonder Woman battling Cheetah, one of her early, golden age villains, Nemesis. So how does this make you feel about waiting a few more months to see this movie?
I mean, with everything that's going on, it is what it is. I'm a little disappointed. I was looking forward to seeing this film. This picture right here doesn't do much for me because the protagonist in the film is Cheetah. It's not like one of those like villains I grew up with and super excited to see in any sort of media other than comic books. And it's neither here nor there for me. This Wonder Woman pick they're kind of feeding us a little bit, but I want to see the meat of it. I am excited for Wonder Woman 1984. How does Steve Rogers come back? Why is he wearing a fanny pack and a members only jacket? Those are the kinds of questions I need answered from a movie like that, right? But moving on from Wonder Woman, and let's get off the off ramp here and get into some Star Wars. This is what I'm really excited about. What do we got?
Well, Star Wars has been extremely fresh with Mandalorian season 1, and they're about to get even fresher because we know now that Boba Fett it will show up in season 2. Now, the article did say that it's probably a very minor appearance, but I think it speaks a lot to Star Wars really getting fans pulled in and having things to be excited about. Morrison returning as Boba Fett. We saw him do a great job in the prequels as Jango, and I think this is very key to a kind of broken fandom right now. So I think this is another thing that maybe headed by Favreau and team about keeping the fans really pulled into what Star Wars should be looking like moving forward.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this news. Like, super excited, especially the fact that they teased it in episode 5 when Ming-Na Wen, her character is unconscious, they're laying, and you hear those spurs. So you hear a certain sound that's familiar. It didn't register at first, but you hear spurs walking to her, and you see a boot, and it's like, after that, all the fans are like speculating, oh my God, this is Boba Fett. Boba Fett is going to be coming, maybe in another episode in this season. Didn't happen, but I am super excited that they have made this announcement that that Boba Fett will be in season 2. So again, I can't say enough for how excited I am. I'm also excited about this piece of news as well. It was also reported this week that Taika Waititi will be writing and directing a new Star Wars film. I mean, I have no idea where this is going to go. I have no idea how it's going to be. All I know is I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it because I love his style. I love his sense of act. I love his action. I love his I love his comedy. I love the visuals he creates on the big screen. I mean, you cannot deny how beautiful those visuals were in Thor Ragnarok. And for him to transition into a Star Wars film, I mean, that's gold to me. What do you think?
Absolutely, and Thor's hammer confirms he is worthy. I think. Now, I do think you'll get a lot of skepticism with this. He has his certain flavor, right? And I think he's walking a fine line here. I think he really needs to be careful, which I think he's capable of being careful and mindful, and really taking his style and his vision, but pairing that with the tone of Star Wars. And like I said, I mean, this can really go one way or the other, but I'm confident in his ability. I think with Jon Favreau behind the scenes and working with him to make sure that the tonnage of the film is driven in the roots of Star Wars, we're going to see something amazing. I think this could really be something that we've never seen before, and hopefully it could be something that can really kind of unite this fandom, because we've had a lot of controversy surrounding Star Wars films in the last few years.
Yeah, I agree, but I have a feeling that this is going to be special. Like, I really, really do, and I am just excited about all of the stories they're building to create this larger universe. And for me, I can't express enough how excited I am. All right, I'm going to stop geeking out because we have more things to geek out about. Specifically, Todd McFarlane was digging through his closet the other day, and he found something quite interesting that I think a lot of collectors and fans would be really excited to be around, let alone own. So what do we got?
So how many people can dig in their closet and find a relic? Now, obviously, being that he's the one that creates these relics, right? An original art piece from Amazing Spider-Man 300. The thing that's on my mind is, well, for one, what else does he have in that closet? And what is he going to do with this piece? I mean, does he just find something like this and throw it back in the closet? I mean, he's Todd McFarlane, right?
I mean, yeah, but like for you and I growing up, like, what is, it's an 8.5? Like, I still have mine. Mine's in a slab as well. The one I got off the rack as a kid. I like, this left such an impression. This issue left such an impression on me that I just, for him to just casually be cleaning out his closet and find the original artwork where Venom, the first issue where Venom shows up, it just blows my mind. I mean, it must be, like, just being, again, I'm geeking out, but that was really, that's hilarious to see something like that. Any collector would kill for that. So speaking of collecting, we're going to move on to our next segment here, which is something that Chris and I kind of, as collectors, it's something, it can be seen as a dirty word, but for you and I, I've been in this game for a long time, and it's speculating, spec'ing on comics. I've been spec'ing comics way back when, early 90s, where I knew the market so well. I would buy 2 issues of the same issue, 2 copies, keep one in my long box. A week later, I would trade the other one in for $20 worth of more comics. And that's how I rolled back in the day. And I'm excited. Anybody that talks about spec'ing, it's something that definitely excites me. How do you feel about speculation?
Yeah, obviously, speculation has turned into kind of a dirty word at this point in time in the hobby. But, I think people need to kind of take a step back and understand that speculation has been around for decades. It's been around for a very long time now. And, I'm always one that says, collect what you enjoy collecting. And there is really no right or wrong way to collect, and I'm not one that buys books to sell them or flip them. I don't flip books at all. Every book in my collection is special. But as a collector, I can't deny the fact that speculating on books is exciting. And I still will speculate on books, even knowing that I'm going to hold on to that book probably until I'm gone and may just hand it down to my children or grandchildren. So, speculating can come in many forms, and it's ultimately something that's driven this hobby for a very long time.
100%. I completely agree with that. And honestly, it excites me because it's like playing the stock market. And speaking of, there are a ton of apps out there that I don't want to say play into this game, but they report the data. One of those is coverprice.com, COVRPRICE. You can see it right here. And every week they take all the data and they create lists of the hottest comics of the week, the top movers, the top shakers. And it really, really fascinates me as to what the people are buying. Like this week, for example, the hottest comic, are you guys all ready? Anybody in the comment section, you want to guess what the hottest comic was without looking at coverprice.com? I guarantee you will not get it. It's a book called Black Badge. This is the #1 hottest comic of the week, according to Cover Price, which they get all of their information from hard data. They aggregate all this data to create these lists. This had a 7-day trend of 588% in sales, increase in sales. The top weekly sale was $27, a raw comic book for an IP that's barely known, $27, and 43 copies sold. Again, we understand why this is, but we're surprised at the numbers. Chris, would you care to kind of elaborate on that?
Right. So now Boom Studios has a streaming deal, right?
Boom Studios has a streaming deal with Netflix.
Netflix,
and,
right.
And the creator, Matt Kind, was asked on Twitter, hey, is this going to be a series or what have you? He's like, an announcement may happen soon. Boom, immediately taken off. The fact that he immediately took that off is even more reason to believe. But a lot of these things with speculating, and like you and I as speculators, you want to see the longevity in this, right? And this is not a well-known brand. You're not going to have, the mainstream people that go to Marvel or DC movies going out rushing to buy this issue, in my opinion. But I still find it fascinating that it made it as the #1 issue.
Yeah. I think that that tweet, or that small little hint of this is going to be on some kind of streaming service piques people's interest in this day and age. And you're right. I don't think it's going to speak to the longevity, but I definitely think that had an impact. I mean, 588% in a week increase is insane. Now we could have just a bunch of bored collectors laying around, sheltered in place, and just got word that this was a great read. That might be part of it, but I highly doubt it. I think this is definitely something that shows the modern spec market and what speculators are looking for.
Yeah.
But in terms of longevity, I don't think we'll see this, continue to shoot up for much longer. But hey, if it does get its own show and it turns out being really good, we never know.
Listen, I'm all for it. I'm all for the medium being pushed even further. I'm all for these new properties getting their day in the sun. And again, it's just good all around for the comic books that we love. So for you, the viewer, if this is something that interests you, comic book spec, please send a hashtag comic book canon spec, hashtag comic book canon spec, either on Twitter or Instagram or what have you, telling us what you think is going to be spec'd on in the next coming weeks, what you're spec'ing on, or what you want to talk about. We'd be happy to discuss this in future episodes. Again, we're just putting this thing together. This is our first kind of episode, soft launch, but we would be happy to talk more about this down the road. But we have more to talk about right now. This is going to be a fun segment. This is called Comic Book Canon Casting. Comic Book Canon Casting. All right, and for today, we are going to have fun with this. Chris and I are going to give our arguments as to who we feel like should be cast for about 5 or 6 characters of the X-Men. We all know it's coming. Kevin Feige said at Comic-Con last year, X-Men are coming. The mutants are coming. I'm super excited for this. Chris is super excited for this. Chris, we're going to start off with you and your first spec. We're going to start off with
Professor X. So, man, Professor X. I would really love to see McAvoy return. He did such a great job, in my opinion. He's a really good actor that I think is going to land some great roles in the future. But ultimately, I think Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios is going to take a fresh take here. So, my fresh pick for Professor X, Zachary Quinto. This guy just really won me as a fan on Lost, and then also standing in the shoes or filling the shoes of Leonard Nimoy portraying Spock. I mean, that's something that I didn't believe could ever be done, and he did it to a T. And definitely my favorite character from the new Star Trek franchise. I definitely think he has the depth and the ability to really flesh out Professor X on the big screen.
One, but I do like your Zachary Quinto. I think that's a really good call out. I'm going to go in a different direction here for Professor X. I am going to go with a guy by the name of Jason Clarke. He may look familiar to you. He was in Dawn of the Apes, as well as John Connor in Terminator Genesis. I think he's got the acting chops. I think he's got the looks. I think he would make a great Professor X. But again, we can't go. There's no wrong answer here in terms of us kind of coming up with these picks. So moving on, we got Magneto. Who do you got, Chris?
All right. Another one, Magneto. I mean, Michael Fassbender just did an amazing job. Again, just seeing him on screen, I think, was probably some of my favorite elements from the reboots. But again, MCU, Marvel Studios, I just feel them taking a fresh slate here. So my Magneto choice might be a shocker. Cillian Murphy. Cillian Murphy, a lot of you might know him for Scarecrow in the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy. I don't think that he gets enough credit as an actor, and I would love to see him in this role. He definitely has a depth behind those eyes, something really dark, and I think he can really bring out that duality of the character that is Magneto.
I thought you were crazy when you first suggested Cillian Murphy, but then I saw that picture side by side with Magneto. I'm like, you know what? If he gained a few pounds, I think he would make a good choice. But for me, I have a different choice, and I'm going to go with Timothy Olyphant. You may recognize him from Justified and even the Santa Clarita Diet. He's got a wide range in terms of his acting skills, and I really think, and he's also got silver hair basically right now, which is T for Magneto. But I really think he's a guy that would be able to kind of have that maniacal presence about him to portray an iconic character such as Magneto. And again, there's no wrong answers, but we will move on to the next character. And Chris, the next character we have is Jean Grey. Who do you got?
All right, Jean Grey. Here's the thing, and you're going to see this with a few of my other picks down the line here, but I think Marvel Studios is going to go young with these characters. I think they obviously want characters that can, or actors and actresses that can play these characters for 10, 15 plus years. So my choice for Jean Grey, Millie Bobby Brown. Yes, Millie Bobby Brown, 11, from Stranger Things. Now, she is currently 16 years old, right? So you're like, well, man, that's crazy young. But ultimately, when these movies get released, or actually when they start production, it probably won't be for another couple years. So if she was chosen for the role, she would probably be 18 when production would begin, which I think puts her at a perfect age to dive into this role and be a character that she could play for a decade plus.
A decade plus, she could like play that for 25 years. Like she's 16 years old. If they go into production within the next 2 years, I mean, she's got a law. I mean, if she wants, like as an actor or any type of artist, you don't want to be pigeonholed and stuck in something like that. But you know, man, that's a really good call. I tended to go a little bit older with my X-Men, and I know it may not make sense here because of the continuity. Like, oh, if they were this old, where were they? Why were they not around in the MCU previously? What's the explanation for that? Fine, I get it, but this is just who I see playing these characters. There's no wrong answer, but I'm going to go with Felicity Jones. You may recognize her from Rogue One. She was an absolute badass there, and I think, you know, Jean Grey is less of a, well, Jean Grey is a strong person, strong personality. Not as much as Felicity Jones's character in Rogue One, but I think, again, Felicity Jones is an actress that would be able to have that range of being somebody who is. I see Jean Grey as like she's very nurturing in some ways, and I think she'd be able to lend her chops, her acting skills to that character, and I could see her playing Jean Grey. So moving on from Jean Grey, though, we got Cyclops. What do you got?
All right, Cyclops. Cyclops. I don't know if he's been done justice really so far in on-screen portrayal. And pairing Cyclops, obviously, with my Jean Grey pick of Millie Bobby Brown, I chose Asa Butterfield. Now, if you guys remember, Asa Butterfield was in talks to play the MCU Spider-Man, or the Sony borrowed MCU Spider-Man. Now, Asa Butterfield, he's still young too. He's currently 23. Couple years, if production would begin, he'd be 25, paired with an 18-year-old Millie Bobby Brown. The thing with Asa Butterfield, now he kind of rubs me the wrong way, but so does Cyclops, and that's why I picked him. I think he has this kind of snark attitude about him, in this cockiness that would really fit into the Cyclops character. But I do think, especially as Asa matures and grows into his more adulthood, I think that he can actually take on that strong leadership role that Cyclops ended up having to take on in the comic books as well.
That is straight comedy. Yeah, I mean, a little young for me, I think, and I don't know physically if he looks the part, so I'm not going to quite agree with you. There are no wrong answers here. But I did get quite a laugh when you said that he irks you. My pick here is actually somebody who's already played a character in the MCU. His name is Wilson Bethel. As you may remember, he played Bullseye in the 3rd season of Daredevil. Outstanding season. Who knows if this is going to happen again, if Daredevil will enter the MCU and hopefully Bullseye. But this isn't unprecedented, as you know, because Mahershala Ali, who played Cottonmouth in Luke Cage, is going to be Blade in the MCU as well. So I think Wilson Bethel has the physique and the looks to play a guy like Cyclops. I think he has the quiet demeanor as well that Cyclops has. I think he could portray that as well, and be the team leader of the X-Men in the MCU. That is my opinion there, and we will move on to our second-class character, who is Storm. She's a pretty popular character. She's one of the most popular characters. I think she's one of the most badass women in the in the Marvel universe, and hopefully MCU. Who do you got?
Yeah, again, I went young, and I would just say, Marvel Studios and their casting has just done an amazing job. And regardless of our fan picks here, I have extreme faith in Marvel Studios casting, especially pulling out young actors and actresses that really have no resume, and they've all just done a great job so far. And my pick here was Yara Shahidi. Now, I've seen her on Blackish. You guys may have seen her as well. I do believe she's only like 20 years old currently, and she started young on that show. And I haven't seen too much of her, but I like the her screen presence and what she brings to the table. I haven't seen too much depth in her, but she's one that I can look at and say, if Marvel Studios was to go with someone like this, I think it's because they see the growth potential in her. I think she definitely has a strong, strong woman presence when she's on screen, even being so young. And I think that can definitely be brought out in a Storm character.
You're definitely going young, a younger vibe with all this cast right here. I think she's a phenomenal actress. In my opinion, I don't think she fits the mold of Storm. I don't think she has that badass quality. She hasn't had a role that we've seen her be a badass in, so she hasn't had the opportunity, so she could prove us all or prove me wrong on that. But she would not be my first choice. My first choice for Storm, I was never happy with the Halle Berry Storm. I thought she was a bit I thought she was a bit soft. I'm sorry.
I agree. Love Halle Berry, but yeah, I
don't want to see that in Storm. I want Storm to have like this, just a brow like this, just ready to just kick some ass. So somebody who did kick some ass recently was Naomi Ackie. She was in Rise of Skywalker. I think she would be a fantastic pick for Storm. I think she's got all the qualities to be that badass, to be Aurora, and she, you know, a potential leader of the X-Men, because, you know, at one point she was the leader of the X-Men. And I would be super psyched to see her play Storm in the MCU.
Before we go into our next one, you killed it there. I have to say that man, I want to stand up and give you a standing ovation for that. And I hope that Marvel Studios takes your advice on that one, because, man, wow. A+.
Yeah. Thank you. You can keep it coming. All right, now our last character is arguably the most famous character, X-Men character of all time. Arguably one of the most popular Marvel characters of all time. Who do we got? You announce it. Who do we got? Who are we spec'ing on? Who do we want cast as who? Go.
Yeah. So we all know that this is one that is just Wolverine. Wolverine. Not only is he one of the most iconic characters in Marvel history, but Hugh Jackman, who I think should win a Lifetime Achievement Award for his role as Logan Wolverine. How do you replace that? What do you look for? You know, we've had years now of, you know, so much online and in social media, people talking about this person, Tom Hardy, and that person, and this person, and honestly, it was a tough decision for me too, for me to contemplate this. But over the last probably few months, I have had somebody in mind that I am sticking with, and you can hate me all you want for it, but my pick for the next Wolverine, he's 30 years old currently. He's at a good age. He's got some age to him, but yet could still play the character for a long time. He's only 5'5", and we know that the one flaw with Hugh Jackman was that he was extremely tall, and Wolverine is almost a midget. None other than Daniel Radcliffe. Yes, Daniel Radcliffe. No, we are going to forget that he was ever this little magic wizard boy, Harry Potter, and we will remember him as the iconic MCU Wolverine. Mark my word, this is your guy.
Listen, I don't hate it. I didn't know he was 5'5". That's a good call, but he's not like that. You know, that you know, kind of Logan that we know from the comic. There is rumor. We didn't talk about this leading up to the show, but there is rumor that he is up for the Moon Knight role as well. I could see him being that. Look, it's not a bad call, right? Take away Harry Potter, he can gain some mass on him. He's got the wolfy hair, and I think it could work. I like that pick. I do like that pick, but I like my pick better, and it is one that is a popular pick. I know a lot of people are pushing for this. My pick for Wolverine would be Taron Egerton. You've recently seen him as Elton John. He's also been in the help me out here. What movies? What are those movies? I cannot. The Mark Millar movies.
Yeah, man.
High action. He's got the acting chops for it. He's got the physique for it. He's got the face for it. Grow out those sideburns. Get that hair wolfing. I think he'd be great. I think he'd be a great Wolverine. And I really hope that they go with that pick. But again, all these picks are our kind of wish lists. Who knows what they're going to do? They came out of left field with a lot of things in the Marvel Universe in the past 12 years. It's been 12 years.
Right.
And honestly, I trust Feige. I trust the MCU. Yeah. They have not. There's been maybe borderline stinkers here and there in their history, but I'm super excited for the future of the MCU.
Absolutely. And hey, look, if Robert Pattinson can play Batman, hey, Harry Potter, if Sparkle Twilight Vampire can be Batman, Harry Potter can do Wolverine. So, but hey, like you said though, I have all my faith in Marvel Studios and what they're going to bring us in the next few years for sure.
All right, so this is going to be something that we're going to continue doing on future episodes. So please, hashtag Comic Book Canon Casting with your choices, who you want to see in any sort of iteration of comic books, whether they be Marvel, DC, any indies, Image, whatever, what have you. We are interested in talking about it. Send us on Instagram, Facebook, what else we got? The Twitter. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking on all the social medias, but hit us up on all of them. And that being said, why don't you just subscribe to us on Comic Book Canon, right? Subscribe to Chris at Journos Comics, right? We'd love to hear from you. We have been hearing from you, and we're really excited about that. We have some comments here in our broadcast that we'd love to get to. So, Chris, how about we pull one of these questions here? So, As Fun Comics, he still can't believe that Taika is directing a Star Wars movie. How do you feel? I'm again super pumped. Why wouldn't we be excited about that?
Yeah. I hope that's a good I can't believe and not a bad one.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. I just, like I said, this is a situation where it has shock and awe value to it, and this can really go one way or the other. But I think for those that understand his art and his style, I think that you are going to appreciate what he does. And I just, like you said, I mean, the visual appeal alone. I know a lot of people thought that the humor in Ragnarok was over the top. Personally, I thought it worked well, but how do you take away the visual ride that you went on throughout the entirety of that movie? And that alone, with Star Wars and the space action, I'm almost getting chills thinking about it, because it's just, I really do. I have faith that this is going to be something that we've never seen before. I
mean, yeah, I saw the notification come. I'm like, whoa, you have got, like, I had an emotional and physical reaction when I first saw that. Super psyched for that. Johnny Zuko had an interesting comment for you. Cillian Murphy would have been a better choice for Professor X. I'm not mad at that. Like, there's no wrong answers, right?
Right. To that point, I think there's a lot of actors, at least that I named, that can really, you could see them in multiple roles within these franchises.
No, absolutely. Dingo Growls, I have a feeling I know who that is. You guys nailed all the X-Men and cooked Wolverine. He's given us crap for our Wolverine picks, but I think the reason why, I have a feeling that Dingo Growls has an Australian accent, and he's hooked on the 90s X-Men cartoon. Didn't he? The Wolverine had an Australian accent, didn't he? So I think he's still a little bit upset about that. Yes, Johnny Zuko, it was Kingsman that Taron Egerton was in. There's two Kingsman films. Actually, I think 3. There's a prequel as well. Wolverine, the Heath Ledger challenge. Dingle Growls again. Johnny Zuko. This is my beef too with Halle Berry. That's the perfect way to describe her. She was dull as Storm, and it was really disappointing because you wanted that. Like Angela Bassett would have been badass as Storm in the early 2000s film. I would absolutely been pumped about that. That's it though. This was our first episode. I thought it went really well, and I'd like to do more. We're only going to get better here. I really appreciate all you guys for watching. Once again, please subscribe to Comic Book Canon. Tell us what you want to see from the show. Tell us what you don't want to see from the show. Again, we're really happy to have you here, Chris. What are your parting words for this episode?
Absolutely, I enjoy being a part of this first show. Obviously, Jeff, thank you so much for partnering with me here. I think this is going to be something that's going to be exciting for this YouTube community for weeks to come. And hey, it's an honor for me to provide some kind of entertainment for all of you out there, during these times. I mean, so many of us are stuck inside, and we're really wanting to escape. And what better escape than comic books and pop culture? And what better way than hopping on YouTube and watching a good show? And I appreciate that we have a format where not only can you and I talk, Jeff, but we can involve the viewers and really keep them, as part of the show as well.
Absolutely. It's really important during this time. That's another reason why we both do this. It's to connect when we can't physically. So again, thank you so much. We really appreciate your support. We really appreciate the comments, and you'll see us next week, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific. All you guys stay safe out there. Have a good one. Have a good week.